We're live. Happy Wednesday. It is 11 a.m. It is May 28th. This is episode 52. Bananas. Anyway, I want to talk about branding and some harsh truths about branding. Not like how to build a brand, though I have some tips on that coming up here in just a second. I want to talk about the concept of brand, the idea of brand. Not so much what is a brand, but kind of what is a brand. I'm inspired by this topic because I've talked to several upstarts recently, and it tracks with the conversations I've had over the years, decades, with upstarts who have been challenged by the idea of creating a brand in different ways. So if you're just getting started, spinning up a new brand or your first business, and you're going to grab a template and make a website, note these two struggles. Okay. One is people often over-index on the importance, right? It looks like overthinking. They overthink it conceptually, or they overthink the visuals or the name of the company or the brand, and these all are unnecessary delays. I've got more on that in just a minute. If that didn't upset you, I have something that will. They overthink it. I mean, they underthink it, meaning they, not all of them, but for the most part, they don't have any idea or concept of the pieces that are necessary to build a brand, to build a story, to provide great service. And they have nothing to build on in terms of that story and experience. Often they just use their personal name and some work history. And that's a fine starting point. That's exactly the right starting point. But don't miss the idea entirely of not putting together the other pieces you need that color that in a way that helps you create something that is more meaningful than just a name, colors, logo. Because at the end of the day, our businesses are not judged by the name. We're not judged by the logo quality. There's literally Acme whatever out there. There's literally so-and-so going by their personal name out there, and both are fine. The experience, a brand is an experience. It's not a logo. It's not a name, right? Nike has a great name, but if they made trash shoes, Nike would be out of business. So it doesn't matter how good the slogan and the advertising is. We've seen great advertising for brands that failed, and we've seen absolutely hideous brands do just fine with terrible names. And at the end of the day, the only thing we have to hang our hats on is the people, the interaction of the service and or the product, its quality. So it's easy to argue that my company name, and I took it off. It was down here. It's on previous videos. I have a terrible company name. I've come to realize I have a terrible company name. I was all jazzed up about the concept of my business name, and it is so abstract, and the number of people who give a shit about it is zero. There is zero. I'm not even sure I do. It works just fine. It's a name. It's distinct, most certainly, but it has some problems, right? The name is long. It's hard to spell. It's Resonant Pixel Company, by the way, often abbreviated to Resonant Pixel Co. I even got an alternate TLD in using .co instead of .com. I do own .com, and it just redirects. But I thought, instead of resonantpixelcompany.com or resonantpixelco.co, I would go to resonantpixel.co. Made perfect sense at the time. The problem is people trip up on any alternative TLD. So they always say .com when they're trying to, so how do you spell resonant? Yeah, it's weekly. It is weekly. And I'm like, dang, I really should have just named it. Not that my last name is any easier to spell than Resonant. Actually, it's probably harder to spell than Resonant. But at the end of the day, my name wouldn't have helped me. So I needed a company name, and that's fine. Here's an example. I send out an email, or I send a message, or some automated whatever comes from one of my systems, and someone might say, "Hey, I got this message from Resonant Pixel Company." It took me a day to remember that's you. And it's a constant reminder that I probably chose poorly. And I'm not going to explain the concept of resonant or resonating. You can ask ChatGPT. But it is a constant reminder that A, names can be confusing. B, names probably don't matter, because I have a lot of clients and the company is growing and doing fine, even with a terrible name like Resonant Pixel Company. So here's an example. I literally just an hour ago had a call with a gigantic corporation, and it wasn't a utility, but a bank, right? So it's natural to think when we have a great service call, and I was literally just chuckled at myself because this just happened to me, is I had to call the loan provider for my car, right? So it was natural. Let me cover the call first. So I called them, and after getting through all the prompts and the numbers, and the robot said, I can expect about a 7-minute wait. 15 seconds later, I was talking to a rep, and they handled the issue adeptly, provided fantastic service. They totally sandbagged the amount of time I had to wait, which maybe that was intentional, maybe it's not, maybe I just got lucky. I can't know. But it was delightful to get a rep in 15 seconds instead of waiting 7 painful minutes of listening to elevator jazz. So it was easy for me to come away from that call thinking, wow, big corporation really is getting better service. That may or may not actually be true. I totally got lucky. I called them on a Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. ish, and both things can be true. What would we say? Mutually exclusive? Is that the? I want to be careful not to misuse that one. I'm not sure I totally understand it. It confuses me. So if you're just getting started, back on track here, have something of an idea or a concept or something that you need to get to market, you want to spin up a new company or spin up a new brand, don't overthink it. Have something, but don't overthink it. Get to market. Get it validated. Get the business idea validated. Because regardless of the name, if you don't have a valid business, it doesn't matter what we call it. It's gone. So you can always make changes to the brand, the metaphor, the visuals, the concept, the colors later. Find balance. Find medium ground that says, okay, we've got something. I have some core values. I believe this is something that my industry is missing or getting wrong that I can solve. Then that's a great place to start. And here's a prime example in that my business and its name, and I talked about this a minute ago, hasn't hindered success in any way, regardless of how abstract or hard to spell the name is. So it's entirely possible. So the next thing I'll say is storytelling is more important than aesthetics. So yes, you should have a great logo. I would argue my logo is too simple. Maybe it's great, maybe it's not. I didn't set out to get a great logo. I set out to get to market quickly and validate the business idea, and decided the logo is fine. It's fine enough. It gets the job done. And what's important is building cash flow and having simplicity in your operations and reliability in the quality of the service that we're providing. and having a strong foundation that we can grow and tell that story about, we can always make tweaks to the story, because branding is iterative. I know when you're thinking of it and you're creating it, standing it up, it feels awfully final, and it feels like something that you have to have exact. But the truth is actually quite different. I would say that the customer experience is everything, regardless of what we call our businesses. If interacting with the business is trash, the business is trash, period. So think iteratively, get to market, get some market feedback. When you get feedback, positive or negative, you can add to the story, right? You can color in your core values and the reason why you went to market in the first place as validation, or you can make changes to your copy, your headlines, your brand messaging in a way that overcomes the challenges people have in market or validates what it is that you've put in market. So think iteratively the entire time we're building a brand. I mean, Cobbler's Kids Have No Shoes. My brand, my website isn't great. It's fine. And that's all it needs to be, because the number of people that are going to buy what my company does, sight unseen, is also, it's zero. Nobody's going to hire a creative agency to make them a website, period. Even my productized, subscription model style, nobody buys that without having a conversation with me first. I would argue outside of a portfolio, a lot of creative agencies may not actually need a website. It's just a tool for validating that the business is legitimate or the work is up to snuff with the idea of what it is that whoever's going to hire them is there to find out, to acquire, right? So here are the practical boots on the ground tips, okay? 1, define your core values. Non-tangibles, non-negotiables, things that you stand for that you believe in. Like my business, I believe in ensuring cost predictability and saving time. That's really what a subscription does. It eliminates the need for constant negotiation of what things are going to cost and how long things are going to take. I took that off the table. Now it's all predictable. Some people find tremendous relief in that, and those are my tribe. Think about your tribe and what will they find relief in, and lean into that. Those are your core principles, your core values, right? And then create a minimal viable brand. Think about it that way. I know I called it iterative earlier, but the idea is to get a basic logo, a basic color scheme, and a simple message out there. And here's a great version of a oversimplified but solid positioning statement. I, or we, do A so that B can achieve C. Or you can change out ABC with XYZ. It doesn't matter. The point is, a minimum viable brand is something that you can get into market, validate the offering, validate your pricing, get some customers, get some feedback. Then you can go back and make updates to the brand as you mature it, as you learn what's working and doesn't work, as you learn more about the problems you solve, the emotions people feel, and how you're helping them and improve their business or their lives in whatever way that is, right? So focus on, number 3, focus on quality of service. What's it like being on the phone? What's it like getting an email from the business? What is it like interacting with the business in any way, from the proposal process to the invoicing process to the follow-up to scheduling calls with you? Think about those interactions. Even automate them so that you're guaranteed, as close as you can be guaranteed, that you're quick to respond, it's easy to do and use, and your availability is very clear, including some time blocking. Make sure that the time blocking of scheduling a call with you, that is an open period of time consistently week to week, so that people know they can schedule a block with you at that particular time. I don't know if you've ever had number of emails. I think I just did one that's like 5 long because someone refused to use the Book of Discovery call link on my website. I don't know how many, 5, 7. It was a bunch of emails back and forth. What day are you available? What time? 3. As soon as you insert a third person, it's at least 5 emails. Well, these are the times I'm open. Well, I'm not open on those times. Okay, well, this and then what? Who's going to send the invite? Oh my gosh, it took days instead of minutes. That's how little people value their time. So definitely think quality of service. Lastly, I just want to say, think of it as a way of engaging the audience. So a brand is nothing more than the quality of the service or product that you provide at the end of the day. That's definitely a longer term thought. In the immediate, we often think of the brand as representing who we are, who I am, who you are. And I would like to put a pin in that balloon and pop it as I struggle through probably a terrible analogy. Here's my point. Almost all purchases, let me just say all purchases, are emotional decisions. Parting with money to find relief or compress time in any way, right? Whether it's microwavable soup or if it's a massive app development project, too far extremes. That's all we're doing with money. And these are emotional decisions. So people aren't always buying the brand because the brand represents you. A lot of people will buy something from a brand because they feel like the brand represents them. We're all building stories of who we are by the brand choices we make that align with us, whether we're wearing a specific brand of shoes, a specific sweater, this great community sweater I got from the Bureau of Digital with the old logo on it, the glasses, everything we do makes a fashion or brand statement that compiles into a story of who we are, what we value, and how we conduct ourselves based on whatever other social assumptions that we want to make. So when someone is interacting with your company, whether it's HVAC or if it's a sandwich cart or if it's making websites like me, people want to be associated with service they have confidence in and a brand that's not going to embarrass themselves. Think about the old saying, no one gets fired for hiring IBM. I think they used to be the best at something. And the truth was, well, you hired the best, so that project failed, it's not your fault. Because we all agreed that they were the best. But if you hire some person that no one's ever heard of and the project fails, your ass is on the line. Exact same scenario. Just the who, the brand, the assumptions we make socially about that brand. So when it comes to hiring you, the quality of the service and your brand align with their principles, your client, your customers, their principles, then you will have some kind of synergy. Then you're building on a story. Then you get feedback, you get reviews, you get a lot of things in return, in exchange for having been some amount of relief or a compressor of time. So I had one more point about my TLD. It doesn't matter. I just want to say, because I don't know how many minutes have we gone here. This is live. See, we're in 19 minutes. It's fine. You did a great job. You made it 19 and a half minutes, and I'm super grateful for you. So, thumbnail moment. I don't know. I don't have much of a thumbnail moment. I think the title of this video is going to be Harsh Branding Truths and Tips. That sounds pretty solid. And I've got to bounce to an 11:30 call. Crap. See what I mean about time blocking? I did a terrible job of it. So Pot calling the kettle black. This is how hard this stuff is. Like, the struggle is real. Have a great hump day. Enjoy the rest of your week. I hope you're super productive. I will see you Friday right here, live, 11 a.m. Eastern, and I will have another great topic for you. I hope this one was thought-provoking. Actually, it doesn't stop being thought-provoking. So there is that. Have a great week. Talk to you soon. Love you. Bye.